Welcome to the sight singing coaching for the MMEA Western District Music Festival auditions. This is an audition to be part of an exciting musical experience with leading music professionals and specially selected young musicians from high schools all across our area. It's great that you've chosen this and that you're ready to prepare. I am Dr. Mary Brown Bonacci, and I teach sight singing, studio voice, lyric diction, and vocal pedagogy. And I direct the opera workshop and music theater workshop at Westfield State University in Westfield, Massachusetts. In this segment, I will talk about what's expected of you in the sight singing and scales portion of your MMEA Western District audition. The other part is singing your part in a prepared piece, along with the recording of the other parts. You'll find the links to this in the description box below. In your brief and friendly singing audition, you will sing from a written example and perform a prepared scale in an ascending and descending pattern. Your scale will be appropriate to your voice range and will be performed at a prescribed tempo with a clear pulse. I'm going to talk you through all the fine details of what you need to do to slay on your sight singing audition. This is the excerpt from the 2024 website at MMEA Western District. You'll find a link below for the sight singing samples from the site. These will be as described and will be 8 measures long. I want to go over some of the things that you actually have to do in what we displayed before. So I just want to make sure you know that the comfortable range for each voice part means if you're a soprano, it's going to be higher, and you can start it wherever you want. You don't have to start it where it's written, even if you have perfect pitch. Expect a major key that you'll be used to hearing. Expect a common time meter, which is 4/4. Expect always to start on the tonic and end on the tonic for your sight singing. So all of these things should really reassure you and make you much more comfortable. It's also going to be in scalar motion or in limited triadic leaps, so small leaps, but mostly stepwise, going up our scale that we're going to talk about later. And lastly, the rhythms are going to include whole, half, a quarter, and eighth notes, or dotted eighth and quarter combinations. We won't get to talk about rhythm today, but we hopefully will have another segment for that. So students will get your starting pitch and a time to look at the example. So if you're given the starting pitch, again, you can move the starting pitch, sing your scale, and then begin your sight singing example where you're comfortable. So you can tell them what your starting pitch is. All of your methods of sight singing are acceptable. You can use solfeggio, you can use number counting, la la la, all good. So that's for your sight reading. And for your scale, you'll have to actually start on the pitch that they give you. And those are listed. Sopranos, you get to start on F. Altos, you get to start on A. Tenors, you get to start on F, below middle C. And basses, you get to start an octave below on that A, below C3. So we'll go over this again later, but I wanted to get you this out of the way, get you talked down out of the tree right away. So moving on. If you don't read music well enough to make a guess at the melody and rhythm by looking at the page, now is the time to start reading music. Learning just 4 weeks of piano reading skills will be of great use to you, and further piano study will be beneficial to you as you explore music and is required for study after high school. You'll have lots of resources available via the internet, or you can approach a music teacher in your area. Highly recommended. So knowledge is power. So learning this stuff, although it's a little unpleasant and can be scary, will really be useful. No matter how beautifully you sing, you'll find that you need skills to read music and create independently without learning solely depending on your ear for rote repetition. Otherwise, you might be a little like that beautiful car that has no engine. Additionally, I have good news for you. With practice and patience, most people with some experience in music can build a good level of skills in just a few weeks of regular study. If you're comfortable with reading scales and solfeggio, please skip ahead. This segment deals with pitch only. For rhythm, try Taioria.com for rhythm reading practice in the rhythms ahead, the quarters, the wholes, and the halves, the eighths, the dotted quarters, and the eighth patterns. Please practice those on your own. You need to know your scale degrees. For singers, it's beyond 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. If we want to have good reading skills, we have another set of tools available to us, and that's our solfeggio, the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, that we know from, well, hopefully everywhere, but some of you may not have ever heard of them. But these syllables are known as solfeggio, and they're the special syllables that label each note of the major scale pattern in Western music. These were developed by the Western European singers who performed for religious services in the Middle Ages. You can see Guido Ovarezzo on wikipedia.com or anywhere else. You'll find him. Some different sorts of scales you might have heard might have been the blues scale, chromatic scale, scales from Eastern music, just to name a few. You can think of it as a tone bank for songs. If these syllables are familiar to you and you can sing them accurately, again, you may wish to skip ahead. You may most certainly have heard these syllables before, but perhaps you've never considered how easy it is to harness their power for your own use. Here's an introduction to get you started. It has several layers, so it's not super short, but it will be profoundly useful, so I hope you'll bear with me and learn from each idea. Overall, we'll discuss A, the solfeggio syllables that create the scale and forming them with ease. We're going to solidify the scale pattern, moving upward and downward. And then the second part, we're going to sing the scale accurately in 5 easy steps. We're going to learn how the syllables relate to the keys on the piano. We're going to look at whole and half steps on the keyboard. We're going to build a scale on the keyboard with whole and half steps. And then we're going to hear it with the whole and half steps. Then we're going to move that scale to your specific audition key. First, speak these syllables aloud. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. You can see that they're also numbered as 1 through 8. You can make these syllables sound loose and floppy in your mouth and throat. And so it gets a lot easier to sing, because the point of this is not speaking your solfeggio syllables, it's singing them, for heaven's sake. So it's not supposed to feel normal. So take a trip to the weird side with me and just get loose. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. It should feel loose and sloppy. The consonant letter sounds are not important to make clear, but do aim for the correct vowels and do aim for the correct consonant sounds in your head. The vowel letters are super important. They're really useful, but remember these are orthographic or letter representations of the sounds we actually make. So think in English we have diphthongs and all kinds of gooey things happening. Feel free to let them be as gooey as needed. Let's practice these on some best practice ideas. Let's try these again with just almost focusing solely on the vowels. We'll say do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And we can remove most of the consonant sounds. O, re, I, o, a, I, a. Again, if this is easy and familiar to you, skip ahead. So speak the syllables in this comfortable way until you can recall all those syllables without looking. Once you have that, start at a different scale degree. For example, instead of starting with do, we're going to start on re and go re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re. And you're getting good at being loose, so you can leave your hands off your face and stay loose and say mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, mi. And so on, and fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa. And get really good at repeating this pattern until it's second nature to you. I'd like you to, step 2, chant them in order 6 times until you can do it without looking. And then 3, do it as quickly and loosely as possible. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. See, that wasn't really very loose, so I went too fast. So I slow it down. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. I know it sounds crazy, but wait till you start singing, you'll thank me. And lastly, in this exercise, use a metronome to keep you steady. So I posted a metronome link below. So start at 60 beats per minute if you need to, and practice this until you can do it at 140 beats per minute. After you can speak the scale pattern correctly, starting from each and every syllable, you can even become an expert. Try it for every syllable for 7 times in a row, like do and then re, so on, and see if you can do it at 200 beats per minute. It's kind of cool. And if you can do that, you can send me a selfie video and I will send you a commendation. At my email address, mbrownbonacci@westfield.ma.edu. You can find it below too. Let's do this segment forward and backward. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. And you can use your hand to help you coordinate. So do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. Now let's remove the consonants. Think all the complete syllables and omit the starting letters. O, e, I, o, I, e, o. O, e, I, o, I, e, o. Now we can try it with tall, loose vowels and a shadow of the consonants added. So, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. And you can picture it up on the piano keyboard. Up is going to the right, and down is going to the left. Next, we discuss whole and half steps and the whole, whole, half pattern of the major scale. To understand this accurately, we need to talk in detail about the steps, or moving on the piano keyboard from piano key to piano key, moving along from step to step in musical alphabet and syllable to syllable in the scale. This will integrate the piano keyboard with our solfeggio and allows us to visualize the pitches for easy sight reading notes in the staff. Let's look at a diagram with some labels. Notice, if you move from letter to letter as shown in the diagram, rather than from piano key to piano key, this sometimes spans a black key. Sometimes it moves from white key to white key with no intervening black key. Now the distances will be different. We find whole steps as we move from keyboard key to key with a key of either color in between. Letter to letter movement is called diatonic and is fundamentally how we build the major scale. Let's practice whole and half step identification. First, on the ones shown in my diagram. We'll show these, and they're the half steps. E to F, C to C sharp, and A sharp to B. In case you didn't attend music in grade school or maybe forgot, notice that the black keys have the letter name and two sets of names. You got the hashtag symbol, the sharp, as well as the flat symbol that looks a bit like a lowercase b. The sharp is generally used when we move upward, and the flat is for downward motion. Key signatures that you'll encounter for scales set these symbols, which are known as accidentals and remain constant in these cases. For our purposes here, to clarify, the black key above the F would be F sharp. However, that same key below G is G flat. Let's look at whole steps shown. C to D, whole step, F sharp to G sharp, B to C sharp, and B flat up to C. Time to practice. Label the distance, whole or half, between the following notes. From D to E, 2 from F to G, 3 from D to C, and 4 from E to F. I do have the answers supplied for you as well. If this was tricky for you, and for more great information, although it has ads, go to the teoria.com link shown in the description below. It's a large site, so be sure to follow the menu selection guide so you don't just decide to go eat a bag of chips instead of learning sight singing. Eat the chips after you learn your scale. Finally, let's create a scale for practice. We'll be starting on C for ease of discussion. In our scale, we must move from letter to letter, a diatonic scale. One repetition of this pattern is known as an octave. So that's C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, C and downward, C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. That's upward and downward. We started at C, we moved from the piano white key to white key until we completed the 8-note pattern, repeating the first letter at the top. As a reminder, in case you were not paying attention to music classes until now, the musical alphabet uses the letters A, B, C, D, E, F, G. There's no H. We repeat this pattern in the alphabet order to move outward, just the way we'd read. And in order to go backward alphabet order, that makes the pitches move downward. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, B, A, G, F, E, D, C, B, A. It's a little tricky, so don't be surprised if you trip over that a little bit. So here at last is your 1-octave scale. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, upward, and then take a breath, and then go back down. C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. Now we play and sing along on Da. Take a breath and come back down. So notice carefully when you get to Mi to Fa, or between 3 and 4. This is your crunchy half step at the scale degree 3 to 4, and again at Ti to Do. So here we are again for a demo. your half steps at 3 and 4 and 7 and 8, and then backward down. When you can accurately sing your half steps and whole steps, you'll be well on your way to singing well in tune. And now let's sing these things without the piano or a cappella, unaccompanied on Da. Here's our starting pitch. Da, 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 da. Da, 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 da. So you hear your half steps and you hear that crunchiness. When you pay attention there, you're safe. Now we'll do this with our syllables. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. About 30% of you will hear immediately that this is not the right key for you. That is that you'll need to have a different starting pitch. According to your audition requirements that we've already talked about, if you wish to sing soprano, you start on F above middle C. For altos, you start on A below middle C. Tenors, you start on the F below middle C. And basses, you'll start on A below C3. That's one full octave below middle C and then down to A. As you create your scale, be sure to match your whole half pattern with our work starting on C. All of your new scales on your new starting pitches will include some black notes. Solfeggio is best, so you can practice for sight singing, but la 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 also works just fine. So here's the soprano scale. Breath. That's plenty fast. Alto scale, starting on A. Be sure you take a good breath before you start. That goes for everybody. It's always good to smile at the judge, too. Tenors, smile and breathe. And let's hope we have some basses that are reading here. You're still with me, basses, I'm hoping. Here's your starting pitch. Smile at the judges and breathe. For those of you who are gender uncertain, please see my Uncertain Singer coaching segment. And it may be useful to you if you're a female assigned at birth and wish to sing tenor, or identify as a female and wish to sing tenor. You may be assisted also if you're a male assigned at birth and wish to sing soprano or alto, or if your voice remains in treble and you identify as male, and a male assigned at birth who identifies as females who wish to sing soprano or alto. It's all good, and we want you to sing. Now that we know the details of singing a major scale in solfeggio, how do we do our very best? First, loose, easy, and open. Good singing is relaxed singing. So if you practice your solfeggio and all of your singing like you're talking, it won't sound as much like singing as you'd like. Think about that one. So secondly, sing your half and your whole steps accurately, which we've already addressed. Thirdly, guide your instrument to move smoothly between your phonation registers. I'll give you a demonstration on that. So what we don't want is do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. So don't let it slide over to things. You want enough space to make it happen smoothly. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Do, ti, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. So that your timbre or your tone sounds the same through your scale. That's what we're going to really look for, and it can be a tricky thing to navigate, so be sure to ask your teacher if you don't know how to do that, or you can even send a note to me. You've got my email address. I'm happy to help. And lastly, You have to be sure to keep a steady, even tempo. Now for the sight reading portion of your audition. 1. Use your solfeggio. We just worked so hard on it. We'll always start on do, and we'll always end on do, and never depart from the major key. So you can always expect to have that crunchy half step right where it belongs between 3 and 4 and 7 and 8. You'll orient the pitches you see to your solfeggio. I've done the first 4 bars. You write in the last 4 bars. And I've also included the answers. If you're a beginning reader, the staff of 5 lines and 4 spaces shows the same distance for all the letter names. That is A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. They are all going to stack in your staff just the exact same way. While we hear a half step distance at E and F and at B and C. This standard notation shows the same visual size at both those places, at E and F and B and C, as you do the whole steps, although they clearly sound different. I'm really sorry. I guess you're going to have to blame the monks. After you've written in your syllables, it's time to try sight singing them. Find a comfortable starting do. It doesn't have to be F or C or wherever you find it to be written. It doesn't really matter. What we want to do is start on your do and construct your solfeggio scale. Whatever's comfortable for you. I happen to like this one. It's kind of good for a lot of people. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. So again, this can be where you like, not the required starting pitch, and you can go up or down from where I started. You'll need to practice singing in leaps in your scale to sight sing well. Try this exercise just to get yourself started. And I'll start it on where we were. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, ti, re, do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. If your ear's strong, like most singers, if the syllables aren't right but your pitch is right, you're golden. So let's try this, however, to get your syllables and your brain going together. Do, re, do, mi, do, fa, do, so, do, la, do, ti, do, do, and then downward. Do, ti, do, la, do, so, do, fa, do, mi, do, re, do, do. Happy singing and have a great audition.